Could you tell me what is your activity at home during the COVID-19 situation?
So during COVID-19, so my apartment is cleaned by me, and my food is cooked by me, and sometimes I will order Uber Eats so that the food is delivered by the driver, by Uber. And what else? I like to walk around and I don't know.
Okay.
What else in passive voice?
What about your pet?
My pet? I have a dog. Yeah. She's right here actually. She's sleeping.
Kiss or kiss?
She.
Girl.
So she.
Oh, she.
Yeah, it's a girl. Her name is Jacqueline.
Oh,
yeah.
Jacqueline.
So Jacqueline, she's fed by me every day, and she is walked by me, and her food is eaten by her.
Okay.
And what else? And she is pet by me. I pet her. Yeah.
What about your law school? What about the graduation day?
So we'll have the graduation on Monday, and we will all be videoed. So our photos will be shown on the video on Zoom, and we will graduate by ourselves in the home, in the house.
Okay. Was your mother invited by them for the graduation day?
Yes. So all of the families are invited by the school to join in the graduation on video. So they were before the virus. All the families were invited to come to the graduation in Atlanta, but now they're all invited to join on video from their homes.
Okay. So what about before COVID-19? Were you called by your mother for go home?
So because of COVID-19, I was called by my mother to come home to North Carolina because it's safer in North Carolina at her home. I was called by her to come back home after graduation.
So you will miss them. Do you miss them right now?
Yes, I do. Yeah. I do miss them. They're missed by me a lot. Yeah.
So do you live in apartment or a house, rent house, or like what?
I live in an apartment. Yeah, I rent an apartment. Yeah, Atlanta. Very close to school. So the apartment is rented by me.
Okay.
Yes, it's walking, maybe 30 minutes walking. Yeah, or 5 minutes on the bus.
During the COVID-19, is your lecturer given you permission to go to law school or university?
So during COVID-19, the lectures are given on Zoom, on video. So the classes are given by the professor during the same time as our classes usually, but it's all on video on Zoom, and so the classes are taken by us we still have to finish everything, and the exams are taken online on the computer. Yeah, so we have to finish everything on video.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. Today I would like to teach you about the formula of passive voice. Last meeting we have talked about passive voice in using, when we use, and then when we don't use it. Okay, next, the formula of passive voice. Here we will study about 16 tenses in using passive voice. Okay, everyone please listen to me, and then okay, so this here subject plus to be plus verb 3. So subject is the person who is active. To be we use for all tenses, and then past participle is also we call verb 3. This is include in all tenses, so we will use verb 3 for all tenses. So the to be will be different because all tenses have different to be. Okay, now we come to the next example, base formula example. So here the form is, there are 4 forms in sentences: affirmative or positive sentence, negative sentence, and then interrogative sentence, and then question, also W and H question. Okay, so we come to the first example, affirmative or positive sentence. So when we use active voice, like I told you before, subject plus verb plus object. And then for passive voice, subject plus to be plus verb 3, and then we can add by if object who did the action. Okay, so we see the example here. Students write a letter for active voice, and then we change into passive voice become, so the letter will be a subject, and then students will be an object. So a letter is written by students because the subject only one. So a letter is written by students. So you all must be careful because the subject from the active voice will be changed. Here you see students, and then forget the students will be object in passive voice. So a letter is only one letter, so the to be is here, single, yeah, single, and this tenses is present tense. Why I told the tenses is present tense? Because we use is here, is to be of present tense. Okay, I think you can get the example number 1, and then we come to the negative. So for active voice, we use subject auxiliary plus not plus verb plus object, and then passive voice, subject to be plus not verb 3 by an object. Okay, example of active voice here, students do not write a letter. Okay, and then we change the students become object, and then a letter will be subject here. So the result is a letter is not written by students. So verb 3 of write is written. So this is example of negative. Okay, next interrogative. The formula of active voice is auxiliary in the front, and then plus subject plus verb plus object, and then for passive voice to be plus subject plus verb 3 by an object. So for example, for active voice, do students write a letter? Okay, don't forget to change the students become object, and then a letter become subject. So the formula is we will not use do anymore because the question words we will use to be. So is a letter written by students. Don't forget to change write become verb 3 written. So is a letter written by students. Okay, don't forget to put question mark in the end. And then next question W and H. Okay, W and H question. The formula in active voice is here WS question, and then auxiliary, subject, verb, and object. For passive voice, question words, and then to be, subject, verb 3, by, and object. For example, why do students write a letter? This is active, and then we will change become why is a letter written by students. So why, also why, and then students become object, a letter becomes subject. That's why after why is a letter written by students. Okay, this is the best example. Now we come to the 16 tenses in active and then passive voice. So first is simple present tense. In active voice, the subject is subject plus do or does, verb 1, and then passive, subject, and then plus to be, am, are, is, and then verb 3, by, and then object. Okay, for example, students speak English, then we can change into passive, students become object, and then English become subject. So English, and then English only one, so we put is for singular, yeah, the subject, singular subject, English is spoken by students. So this is the result. Okay, I think it's easy, right? We come to the next tenses, present continuous tense. So if active voice is subject to be plus am, are, is, and then verb ing, and then object. This is active formula. And then passive, subject plus to be, am, are, is, and then don't forget to put being. So being is to be for continuous, even for present or past continuous tense. Okay, so being is the to be of tenses of continuous. So don't forget to put verb 3 and then by and then object. For example, active, student is speaking English, and then passive become English is being spoken by students. So speaking will be verb 3, and then the result is spoken. So don't forget put being as the result of continuous. If you don't put being after to be, so the result is false. If you don't put and then will be a present tense, right? So that's why to make different become present and continuous tense is we must put being. Okay. Number 3, present perfect tense. The formula of present perfect tense for active is subject plus have or has plus verb 3 plus object, and then passive is subject, have or has, and then don't forget to be for perfect tense is been. So been will be used in present perfect tense and also past perfect tense, and then forget to put verb 3 and then by and then object. For example, active, students have spoken English, and then passive become English has been spoken by students. Don't forget to put been after modal has or have. Okay. And then next, present perfect continuous tense. So the active form is subject plus have or has plus been, And also don't forget to put verb ing and then object, because continuous always use verb ing. And then passive become, the formula is subject plus have or has plus been, and then forget to put being as continuous. Like I told you before, being is for continuous tenses. The to be will be being. And then don't forget verb 3, and then by, and then object. For example, students have been speaking English. And then passive become English has been being spoken by students. You just match the formula from the sentence. English is subject, has been being spoken by an object. So both of them matching, right? Simple past tense. So the active formula is subject plus verb 2 plus object, and then passive subject plus to be, was, were, and then verb 3 by and object. So don't forget to put was, were as to be of simple past tense. And then active example is students spoke English. So spoke here is verb 2, right? And then we will change into passive voice and then become English was spoken by student. So English was spoken by student. Was here to make the sentence become simple past tense, because the to be is simple past tense was or were. Okay, past continuous tense. Okay, the formula for active is subject plus to be, was or were, and then verb ing, and then object. And then we can change into passive voice. So passive voice is subject plus to be, was, were, and then being, and then verb 3 by object. And then example, students were speaking English. The passive become English was being spoken by students. Don't forget why the to be changed, because were for students and then English only one or singular, that's why we put was after English, because English become a subject here and the students will be here. Why English was being. Okay, next, past perfect tense. The formula for active is subject plus had not plus verb 3 plus object, and then passive is subject plus had plus been plus verb 3 by an object. And then for example, active voice, students had spoken English. So this is the active example, and then we change into passive, English had been spoken by students. Yeah, so all the subject will use had. So English had been spoken by. Next, past perfect continuous tense. So the subject is the formula for active is subject plus had been verb ing object, and then passive subject had been being verb 3 by object. For example, students had been speaking English, and then passive become English had been being spoken by students. So don't forget to put being. If you don't use being, it means become past perfect tense, not past perfect continuous. Okay, next, simple future tense. Active formula is subject plus will not plus verb 1 plus object, and then passive is subject plus will be plus verb 3 plus by an object. So example, active is students will speak English, and then passive become English will be spoken by students. Okay, so you just put be after will. Next, future continuous tense. So the active formula is subject plus will plus be verb subject will be verb ing and then object. For passive formula is subject will be plus being plus verb 3 plus by object. For example, students will be speaking English, and then passive become English will be being spoken by students. Next, future perfect tense. So the active form is subject will have verb 3 object, and then the passive is subject will have been verb 3 by object. For example, students. For active example, students will have spoken English, and then passive become English will have been spoken by students. Okay, next, future perfect continuous tense. The active formula is subject plus will plus have plus been verb ing object, and then passive subject will have plus been plus being verb 3 by object. Don't forget to put being as continuous tense. And then active formula is the example is students will have been speaking English, and then passive will be English will have been being spoken by students. So this is the example. Okay, next, certain simple future past tense. Okay, future past tense, or we call simple future past tense. So the formula of active form is subject would plus verb 1 plus object, and then passive subject plus would plus be plus verb 3 plus by plus object. For example, students would speak English. So this is active example, and then passive become English will be spoken by students. So this is the result of passive. Okay, next, number 14, future past continuous tense. The active form is subject plus would plus be plus verb ing plus object, and then passive is subject plus would plus be plus being verb 3 by plus object. So for example, students would be speaking English, and then passive become English would be being spoken by students. Okay, so English would be being spoken by students. Next, 15, future past perfect tense. Active formula is subject plus would plus have plus verb 3 and plus object. Passive become subject plus would plus have plus been plus verb 3 by and object. So the active example is student would have spoken English, and then passive become English would have been spoken by students. For the last tenses is future past perfect continuous tense. The formula of active is subject plus would plus have been verb ing and then object, and then passive becomes subject would have been being verb 3 by object. Okay, for example, active example, students would have been speaking English, and then passive become English would have been being spoken by students. So this is 16 tenses in active voice and also passive voice. So from this explanation, you can get two formulas, active and passive. I think you all already have understood about my explanation. Okay, you just can practice it by yourself. Please make your own note and then make your own sentences from active to be passive or passive to be active. You can do exercise by yourself at home, make the note, and then you can practice it based on my explanation just now. Okay, so everyone, for questions, please find 10 passive voice sentences. Then you change them into active voice based on the video that you have watched. So you can take from the statement, sentence, or negative sentence, or question forms. Okay, so you can, and then the total is 10. Don't forget the instruction is passive into active, because I think you have already known the video that I have shared to you from Miss Linden and I about passive voice. I think that's all today. So this is the end of our meeting about passive voice. I think if you have any question, you can ask me through your WhatsApp group. Okay, everyone? Take care and then see you then. Bye.